Resident Evil 7 came out early this year, and at the time it was getting all sorts of praise, saying how it reinvented the Resident Evil series and also the survival horror genre in general. But now it's been a couple of months since it came out, and I want to ask, is it really worth all the praise that it got back then? Now, I did end up finishing the game around the middle of the summer when I live streamed it for a couple of friends of mine, and even after the mid part, which I'll get to later, so I did manage to beat the game all the way through. So let's just cut to the chase. Yes, the game is good. However, there's not much there that makes me want to play it again. Hell, even getting footage for this video was a giant pain in the ass. Everything's just really predictable, all the jump scares and puzzles I see coming, and it's kind of a breeze to play now. And yes, there's the Madhouse difficulty you get after beating the game, as well as some additional weapons and equipment if you do certain things, but I don't see how making the game more of a pain in the ass makes someone want to replay it. But the thing I was really excited for was the DLC where you get to play as Chris Redfield, though at the time of writing and recording this, it only recently came out, so I haven't formed an opinion on it at all. Now, earlier I talked about how it was a struggle to get through the mid portion of the game, and there's honestly a good reason for that, so there's a spoiler alert for people who still want to play the games themselves right here. So, after you manage to escape and kill the Baker family, the game doesn't just end. Of course it doesn't. It has to connect itself to the other games in the Resident Evil series, which, personally, I thought was a bad move for it. The whole game up to that point felt like a cross between Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets the PT trailer that came out a few years ago. And after the battle with Marguerite, when she was like a weird spider, it turns full-on Resident Evil. Jack turns into a giant monster, there's some ghost girl in a weird boat that crashed, and it all has to do with the Umbrella Corporation, which Chris Redfield comes on a helicopter afterwards. What I'm saying is that the game's strong points are when it has nothing to do with the rest of the Resident Evil franchise at all. It should have been its own thing, and I would have given Capcom a lot more credit if this were just some new horror franchise that happened to take place in America, and maybe even be a shared universe, but nothing to do with the rest of it. Though I'm not saying I regret buying this game. The first half alone I feel was worth the $60 price tag because I love the way that they used modern horror movies and even old horror movies to kind of influence its themes, such as Saw with Lucas's game and Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the whole Baker household and just the general feeling you get of crazy people living there. And even the paranormal aspect I was fine with until it had to do with some weird T-virus thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and say buy this game, especially if it's pretty cheap during the Steam Winter Sale. I believe they just released an Ultimate Edition and the free Chris Redfield chapter is out for everyone to get if you already own the game.